good evening, a warm welcome. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I am super excited about what we have in store. Please, in the chat, I'm going to go over there right now. Let me know where you are watching from. Good evening, Misty and Jennifer. And just let me know where you're located and if you are a salon owner, whether you are a teacher. Hi, Kalisha. And just let me know a little bit about yourself. That would be really helpful. It helps guide me. So tonight we're going to be exploring, there are 4 types of hairdresser. Successful hairdressers do something that usually unsuccessful hairdressers do not. So what is that point of difference? So tonight we're going to be diving into that. So I wanted to start off with a little story. Some of you may know a little bit about my background, but some of you may not. I was very shy coming into hairdressing, awkward and shy, and I know that may be hard to believe, but I originally had a background in dance, and I was very comfortable on the stage, but in a situation of connecting, eye contact, the verbal conversation, somewhat shy and quite reserved. I wasn't a natural hairdresser. I struggled to understand the architecture of hair. I would look at a client and just go, I have no idea what to do on this person. I'd never been taught how to visualize and actually use my imagination. I'm going to be talking about voguing around the face tonight. Wasn't taught it. Consultation. I trained with the best of the best in the world. And yet we did not do a consultation. We would review the hair. We would then come up with our hair idea. We would suggest the hair idea based on the fabric we were working with, and we would do it. It was all about fashion and trend and all of that good stuff. So many, many times it would be the most amazing haircut you could possibly imagine, but it wouldn't necessarily be the most attractive hairstyle. So as time was passing by, I'm wondering to myself, I wonder why these clients are not coming back. Clearly they weren't coming back because yes, they had a great haircut, but it didn't suit them. And no one had broken that down. So we were almost fashion victims, blinded by trend, blinded by fashion. And do we fall into that category today? I think it's easy to slip into it because our clients see lots of backs of heads with beach waves, they see lobs, they see the longer hairstyles, and they all think, oh gosh, I have to wear that. And while they are gorgeous, clearly they're not for everybody, right? So tonight we're going to talk about, has our industry gone a little boring because we're doing the same old, same old? And yes, I understand some of those tickets may be high tickets, but fashion moves in a circle, and what we know now is going to move on. And we always say that standing still is like moving backwards. And what we want to do is always be looking to the future and looking at future trends, looking at what's next on the trend radar, on the social environment, the economy. All of those things play into values that people had within certain decades. So you can look at the 70s and say the values in the 70s here in the United States, it was a very strong hippie movement. But in London, it was the birth of punk. So, you know, very, very, very different. So each country has its sensibility, but it's become a lot more global than ever before. So tonight we're going to look at the 4 types of hairdressers and your path to being the best version of yourself, right? And I always say it's much better to be the best version of yourself versus a second rate of somebody else. And by the way, Julie Garland was the first one to say that. So let's give credit to her. So we're talking about, yes, the 4 types of hairdressers. So I was in that category of shy. I wanted to please the client. And so very often I would lean into, what do you want? Okay, well, this is what we're doing here, so I'll just put that on you and put that in you. One day, I decided I'm going to photograph every person that sits in my chair. So I photographed all 8 people. And then I had a Polaroid camera. I was really posh. And so I had all these images of my final looks. And I looked at them and I realized that my 9 o'clock and my 10 o'clock and my 11 o'clock And as it went through the day, they all had exactly the same haircut. The variation of length was slight. The variation of blow dry, minor. They all wore the same haircut. And I'm looking, thinking, why don't I put the same one on everybody? Well, Vivian, that's the one you know, and that's the one you're really good at. That's the one you're safe with. And I thought, that's not right. I'm doing what's right for me as opposed to what's right for the client. And I thought, there's only one of them that looks good. The rest of them don't. So, I was young, so I'd say, well, she's just not very pretty, so she's never going to look really good. And that's like, no, that's not true. If she'd had a different hairstyle, she too could have looked attractive. I realized I had a problem. And I thought, right, I've got to figure out how to find out what a client wants. And I've got to embrace the fashion and embrace lifestyle. So I got myself this cute little index card, right? And I thought, right, I'm going to read from my card because I was too shy to talk to them. And I didn't know the questions to ask. So I thought if I write it out, then I'll be okay. So I wrote out my little questions and I would go through them. It was so cute. I'm like, hello, which kind of hairstyles do you like? How much hair can I cut off? I mean, they were such cute little questions, right? How much hair can I cut off? So I started to learn by being self-taught. Now, I was at Vidal Sassoon's in London. It was one of the top salons in the world, not just in London. We were setting trend. And if a client didn't want to have the hairstyle that we recommended, do you know what we would do? We would say, well, madam, we can't do the hairstyle that you want. We'll make a phone call and we'll send you somewhere else because we do the type of work we do. We were so strong about our brand. And because we were the strongest in the world, we got away with it. That was then. It's certainly not now. So that threshold of that point of standing out from the crowd versus being part of the crowd, very, very challenging to do, but we were part of a pioneering group. So curious to know where you are today. So Jennifer is is owner in Guildford, NH. Let's see where else. Hi, Jean. Hi, Joni. So good to have you here. So let's dive into our subject. So I suppose part of my passion for wanting to help hairdressers be the best version of themselves is that I struggled in the beginning of my career. I struggled to find my own identity. I struggled to fit into fashion. I wasn't gothic. I was this, ginger. And I just struggled to find where I belong. And so I figured if I dive into becoming as skilled as I possibly can, my skill will carry me through on the journey. And eventually the skill got stronger. Eventually the aesthetic, the sense of style, the sense of what's appropriate started to come in. And there was so much self-taught, even though I surrounded myself with giants. So today we have all this information out there, but if information's not going to transform you, then it's just merely information. So I hope tonight I say something that's transformative, not just information. So take notes tonight, take screen captures of the screen if you see a slide that you think, wow, that's really, really powerful. And let's just jump into our subject tonight. So I'm going to go to full screen here and talk to you about the 4 types of hairdressers. I'm going to talk to you first about the entertainer. So the entertainer, you want the client to have a great experience and feel pampered, but if your focus is so much on entertaining, you may find yourself distracted, improvising, and feeling like the results are mediocre. What if the client feels that way too? And yes, the client may have had a great experience, but may not be happy with her hair. Did we train the client to settle and lower her expectations? And the big question is, will she come back? So in the beginning, because I lacked skill, I tried to be an entertainer. I tried to polite conversation and do all of that stuff. And then I would realize I've just gone through a whole part of the haircut and I have no idea what just happened because I'm in automatic pilot. And then I realized that it's great to entertain the client. It's great to be a big personality, but it's a lot to carry through the day, every day, and feel that you've got to be entertaining the client. And really, that's not our job. That's not our job to entertain the client. We've got enough by entertaining the hair. How many of you would agree with that? And how many of you would say, oh, Viv, I've got a little bit of an entertainer going on with me? Because we've all got a little bit. Most hairdressers are more outgoing. So how many of you say, yeah, I've got a little bit of the entertainer there? Just write in the comment if you think I can relate to that, because I'm curious to know. So let's take a look at our next one, the technician. The technician, like a Swiss watch, you were made with perfection and discipline. You don't make mistakes, you follow a map and are systematic with a laser focus. But what if you miss looking at the big picture? And the big question is, will she come back? So when you are very technical, which is wonderful to have strong technique, because the strength of someone with strong technique is you can repeat and repeat and repeat. But very often when I watch people working and they're going through their hair and they're holding their comb here and they're busy working here and they're looking at the shape and they're looking at the detail close up, they're not stepping back to look at the big picture because the technique is pulling them in. So how many of you can relate to, Viv, I sometimes get a bit too technical, checking left and right. How did the left side just grow? It was the same a moment ago, now it's got shorter. You know, how many of you have been to that place, right? So the technician is a wonderful skill, but if it's not in balance, it can cause you problems. I was having a conversation with one of our lovely stylists who's in my training program. And I actually complimented her. I said, wow, it's amazing. You're actually using your mirror. And in the beginning, you weren't using your mirror. I said, how's that working for you in the salon? She said, I still struggle a bit. And I thought, I relate to that. Because there used to be a time where I would, because of my shyness, I would get into my haircut and be buried here working away. And I'd like look up in the mirror and I think, oh, she's looking at me really weird. I won't look at her. Or I'd look up again and look at her eyes. Oh, no, I'd always be worried that something in her eyes would be saying, what the hell is she doing, right? And so I would bury myself into the work. I was comfortable in the work, but I was disconnecting from the client. And so I said to this student, I said, I want you to say, I own the mirror. So she said, I own the mirror. No, 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 no. No, we need power here. I said, I own the mirror. Go on, say it. She said, I own the mirror. No, say it really powerfully. Like, you own that mirror. It's a tool. And you've got to be able to look at that client in the eyes. And she said, well, I'm worried that when I look at the client in the eyes, that she's going to think that I don't know what I'm doing. No. You look in the your client in the eyes, and that's all about confidence. So the technician can get so caught up in the application that they can forget about the big picture, including personality. So how many of you can relate to that? Anyone relate to that? So the question is, will she come back? Let's go on to the next one. The emotional artist. You love being spontaneous when it comes to designing hair. You're driven by creativity, passion, and inspiration. But what do you do on the days when you are not inspired? And the question is again, will she come back? I've worked with brilliant artists who I've watched artists create designs, color, poems for the very first time. I've seen that incredible genius in action. I've also seen those so genius artists when they're so heavy into their artistry, the day that they're not feeling inspired, it flatlines. So every so often you get this creative flair and you get this inspiration coming through. And it's like a muscle. The more you use it, the more powerful it becomes. But again, we've got to find that balance. Otherwise, we can get ourselves into trouble. And how many of you can relate to that? Just let me know. Oh my gosh, Vivian, you're talking to me. I really understand that. And the final one, which is what I was in the beginning of my career, the puppet, is the client pulling your strings. You want to please your client at any cost. And like a waiter taking the order saying, what are we doing today? But when you are programmed to say yes, you could be compromising what is truly best for the client by playing it safe. And so the next thing is, of course, will she come back? So we're going to tonight look at how that plays out in the consultation, in the choices that you make. And where do those choices come from? So in the old days, a client would see in a magazine and a hairstyle, she'd rip out the page out of a magazine and she would show it to us. And we would go, okay, fine. Today, of course, we've got so much content out there from Pinterest, Google searches, Instagram, etc. So today there's so much. So that client who loves to research is going to find things that even we're surprised by. But the average person gets information overload and it's like, I can't take this anymore. And they bring in and show us the best of what they could find. Sometimes it's an exhaustive search. So whether you're looking at the client through the eyes of entertaining her, or the puppet, oh, how do I please you, how do I please you? Or the technician analyzing the fabric of the hair, or the artist looking for your originality and your inspiration, we will all look through those different filters. Now, clearly, we all have a little bit of all of that going on with us. But what's your primary song that you sing? And which is the one that you struggle with, that sometimes gets in the way of you doing your very best work? And which one's hard to perform? Because we want to be as authentic as possible. And we want to be able to have that realness come through in everything we do, because that authenticity is very, very valuable. So I've told you about a story about how I began. I'm certainly not like that now. I'm not a puppet anymore at all. I obviously want to please the client, but I'm absolutely going to be that person that's going to give her very solid advice. And it has to have an objectivity to it. One has to dive into their life and look through their filters and see where their values are, which then leads to the clearer you can get in your messaging on social media, the clearer you can get in your messaging within your environment, the clearer your message about what you stand for, what you don't stand for, is all part of giving that clear message about what you want to have come into you. And you know, when you're in the salon world and you see certain clients coming into reception, you can tell, oh, that one's going to Fred. That's a typical Fred client. Oh, that one's going to Jane. So typical. You can see this stereotype of likeness, because human behavior is contagious. So what we put out there, we kind of attract back. So I always say, if I want to refresh my world, it's got to start with me first, so that I am a beacon projecting what I want to come in to me. So it's almost like it's a boomerang. I throw it out and I want to see that come back. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. I've also got some hair to show you, and I'd be very keen to hear any questions that you have. So at the end of the day, does any of this sound familiar? Would you think, yeah, I've spoken to things that you can relate to? And I hope these are something you can, because if so, you're in the right place. So I have a very special guest that you're going to meet in a moment, but this is a lovely testimony that came in from our beautiful Colette. My business has exploded. Statistically, the average salon retains 35% of their clients. I can boast that I have an average of 85% retention within the last year. Not only did I grow my business 40%, but the people are coming back all due to my education from the hair designer program. It has been life-changing, and statistics don't lie. And this is from our dearest Colette Francel. So you're going to meet this gorgeous lady who has been so successful, and you're also going to meet Vicky tonight, who is in Toronto. And I'm going to bring our lovely ladies in so that you can actually meet them. And let me just add them to our stream, and welcome. So Vicky has been in the business for 22 years. She started when she was 2. And she is a guest artist for Wella, which is absolutely wonderful. She has a love affair with color, and she has been a salon owner for 15 years. Colette has been in the business for 35 years, and she is adventurous. She is creative. She has an amazing playful spirit about her. She has a passion for learning, and she's had some incredible success, and she really is a leader within her marketplace. So welcome, my fabulous friends. Welcome.
Thank you.
So Colette, do you relate to those 4 characters?
100%. I can relate to each and every single one of them on different days and on different occasions. I 100%. As you were going through them, though, Viv, I was saying, well, I'm part of that, but I'm not quite all of that. And then you'd bring up the next slide, and I'm like, well, now I'm part of that. I can relate to that. So all of them, absolutely. At any given day, I can say yes, 100%.
Okay, Vicky, how was that for you?
Same. I'm a little bit of all of them, but I think now that I'm a little bit more aware of it, I am working on it.
Okay, well that's good. So Vicky has been going through our editorial course. As I mentioned, she has a passion and a love affair with color and is on the Wella team. So big shout out to Wella. And she has been doing some beautiful work within dresswear. What would you say are some of the big things that you've been able to take away from the program?
Oh my God, where do I start? Just with technique, even like the art of back combing, the face shape, and knowing the proper shapes to put on people, which I would never even consider before. I don't think I looked at face shape as much as I do now, and where they sit in the fashion wheel. It's really, really elevated my entire being behind the chair.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah. And Colette, you graduated from the designer program. You did an extraordinary job. And the designer program, for those of you who don't know, is mastery in cutting, because it seems as though so many people today that are younger in the industry were never really taught how to cut beyond the shoulders. And so there's a fear of cutting hair short. So I designed a program that is about everything from long hair to short hair and editorial styling. So Colette, for you, what has been your biggest transformation to inspire our friends?
Well, I mean, I met you actually when I was starting to watch the designer TV program, and that's how I initially met you. And you had done a plug for the designer program, and I'd spoken to a friend and said, do you think, having, known you and your education, if they thought it was a good idea that I would do it, because this man trained me in an advanced program in another salon? And he goes, Colette, absolutely. And it may just change your life. And I thought, all right, well, then in the consultation with this woman in San Francisco or San Diego, she says, well, it is a commitment. It's once a week. And I'm like, I can't do that. I travel all the time. This isn't going to work for me. And she said, well, you can you can make it up. You can make up the classes. And I thought, oh, I can't do this. Then you said you wanted me committed. And I thought right then and there, I wanted to be committed. And as you know, my mannequin heads have traveled. They've been on cruises. They've been to Hawaii. They've even gone camping. So
I love that one.
You love that one, I know. Is that a real tent? Yes. Yeah, I literally took my mannequin head camping because that was my dedication to the program. I mean, I just didn't want to stop. And I'm glad that I didn't. So yes, through the, the response that I gave you and what I had received from that, I mean, it's true. Statistics cannot lie. And I tell people that it's like, it's just me. It's in my little studio. But just from 1 year of dedicated commitment, I have grown 40%, which is unheard of by myself. #1 rating in my little town, and an 85% retention rate, which we know you only have a 50-50 chance of every time a guest walks in, 50% personality, 50% technical skill. So guess what? I'm above average if the average is 35. So I'm going to keep moving because there's still that 15%.
Yes.
Hungry for growth. So Absolutely. Thank you for the education you offered me. It has paid off.
And then, of course, Colette came here into my studio and she chose some of the most challenging hairstyles to do. And we do this cute thing called Choose Your Own Adventure. So before Colette came, we looked at what do you want to focus on? What are the ideas that you have? And so when she came here, she had her own brief. She had her own storyboard as to what she wanted to create. And she was tenacious and she nailed it and photographed it. And it was really, really cool. So now we're going to dive into action. And I'm going to show you tonight the difference between how a technician would work and an artist. And I'm going to show you tonight through this demonstration. So I'm going to keep you girls on mic so you can chat to me through this. And we're going to talk about the 4 different types of hairdresser, of course, but I'm going to first of all demonstrate to you. And I've got this lovely image here, so I'm going to recreate these looks tonight. So the first one I'm going for is glam. So she's very, very glamorous, and then she's going to go on a bohemian journey. So what you're going to see here is how I go from something structured and glamorous and polished and shiny to a totally different sensibility, playing with a parting and playing with a collapse, etc., etc. So this is the journey that we're going to go on tonight. So a technician, when I did this hairstyle for the first time, I did a couple of sections and then I immediately combed it through to see its performance. A technician would go through just focused on the technique without designing and designing in between, because you're very technically driven, which is wonderful. We want to have a blend. That's our ultimate goal, because mastery is a blend. So I have here a palm up, palm down set. So you can see I made it drop in a curve, and I do like in layered haircuts, I do like in dress work, I do like in curls, a slope versus a square. It's always a prettier flow, following, not cutting off the head, but draping and floating around. So to talk about this technique, my iron is actually now off. And I did this earlier, and in some places she's decided to droop. What we have here is that I'll just show you what we did. I take the hair and I hold it like a haircut. I put my iron in open like this with my palm down. Are you on? Oh, you are on. Oh, okay. I put my in this way, palm up, and then I take my palm down to the floor and I twist. Then I wrap around, and then when I come through, my palm is back up again. Then I twist, and then I go around. So I go palm up, palm down, and I twist. And what happens is you have a twist on one side of the iron, and you have a flat on the other. So really nice effect, and it's different from a spiral. So I'm just going to now brush this through, or comb this through, and obviously you can see I've got a lovely movement through here. And I can see that this, as an artist, I would be so focused on all of this detail that I have here. Generally, a technician doesn't like to use their mirror. And I am generalizing when I speak to this, but I know myself, when I get into my technician zone, I'm not stepping back. I'm looking at it because I'm in my engineering mode. And I think that's the best way of describing that. So another thing that I love to do when I'm working in this area is I love to photo journal as I'm going through. So let me just show you how she's laid out here. So we've got some nice waves, and clearly this girl does need a trim. So I'm going to be using my friend's product. It's called Us, and I'm going to be using some of the oil, and I'm going to put quite a lot into her hair. So I'm quite a lot. I put so much of this in my hair the other day. I thought, blimey, I'm really shining, which is a lot for curly hair. I thought you could put me upside down and I could polish the furniture. I've got a lot of antiques in my house. My head would have been a very good shiny mop. So you can see already what a difference in the texture of the hair from putting the oil in, and it's obviously hydrating it. So again, the technician would be looking more at the mechanics of the hairstyle, where the artist is looking back and going, right, well, how do I make that even more amazing? So making sure I've got this nice liberally put through the hair. And this is going to come back through here. So the next thing I'm going to do is get my blow dryer out and start to look at the changes that I need to make from the roots. So the first thing I'm going to do, so you can see that that's quite a difference in shine. Can you see that, Colette?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So then the next thing I'm going to do with the surplus. Oh, look, it's working. See? It's working. I've always left. She puts them on the bum. The real shine going. Hi, Star. Good to see you here. If you've got any questions, please do ask. Don't be shy, my friends. Don't be shy. And if you know anybody that should be here tonight, you're thinking, oh my gosh, my friend would really enjoy this, send them the link, right? So what we're going to do next is blow dry this area back. So I'm going to take small sections here and just blow dry this back to get my root direction. This is going to come back because you want to, first of all, change the roots before you do anything else, because all of this is foundational work. So just think about your guests that you have coming in who've got longer hair, and instead of just doing it the traditional way you have been doing it, give them something a little different. And that can be amazing, right? So this has just now been taken back. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some hairspray in here. So I'm just going with, this is a hairspray which is just a medium hold, just lightly there. And now I'm going to change the direction here. I'm going to elevate back and around, back, around. And so now I've got a nice lift there. So now I've got that, and I've got my nice movement. So that has to obviously hold set for a moment. Now I'm going to back comb this, because when I'm looking at my hairstyle, you can see in there it's flat. And what I want to do is make sure that the silhouette is fluid all the way through. So that's why it's so important to love your mirror, because if you're only looking down like the technician, you're missing the shape in the mirror, and your mirror is an amazing, amazing tool. So you can see I've got that wonderful movement going through there, but this is not right. So Colette, from you doing the program and photo journaling, I'm going to have you just share first, and then Vicky, I'm going to have you talk about your experience of the photo journaling. What did photo journaling do for you and help in building your business?
Taking photographs of my work changed the way I saw the work 100%. Learning about triangles, making sure everything is in balance, measuring the face, and depending on the angle of the photograph, it can either make or break the hairstyle that you've worked so hard on. Lighting, oh my gosh, can't speak enough to lighting and how much it matters in the final result. And I still have a lot of work to do in my photography, and making sure there's no noise. And what does the neckline look like? And is there, a tag sticking out? It's all the little finite details that take just an average, good picture into a stunning, expensive one. So I learned a lot about photography and the work that I do in the designer program.
Right. And how did you find the feedback helped you?
Oh, it was so incredible. And to be honest, sometimes I felt like you even could have been harder on me, because I know I'm hard on myself. But it also, at the same token, made me feel good when you said that things were beautiful. And you would start out with, very well done, just watch for, you know, shadows, just watch for whatever the critique was. And that really helped me because I felt like you were approving of the style that I had done, you know, acknowledge the hard work I did. And then just here's how you can fine tune the work that you're doing. And so I thought your feedback was fantastic.
Well, thank you.
Excellent.
Anyone ready to play a card?
Oh, yeah.
I should put a joker there, right?
Yeah.
Vicky, what did the feedback do for you when we were giving you your review?
The feedback just makes us be that much better. Like, let's face it, we're all here to become better stylists, to become better behind our chair, to grow. And your feedback just made me fine tune it and made me look at it differently. You always make me feel really good about everything I do, but how can I elevate it and make it look a little bit more expensive? How can I take better photos so I can attract more expensive clients? And just to show off my brand better.
Yes, yeah, which is so important. So we're going to talk about the 3 wheels of fashion in a moment. Vicky did allude to it earlier about the importance of reading where does that client live, and the importance of understanding, you know, the client who likes things buttoned up and the client who loves things a little bit undone and relaxed. And, you know, when you see something like this, just the classicness of this hairstyle is just very, very beautiful. And, you know, just going in with a little bit of hairspray here, again, just very, very light. And what we have is, you can see how I built the silhouette up. So now just coming in, a little bit of spray, let that cool down. And then we've got that nicely worked through there so we don't have a mark. And then again, we go back into our mirror and we elevate, and we look in the mirror and we elevate, so that the balance of this is beautiful. Because, you know, clients today do take photographs of their look. So it's very, very important to get that. So here we've got our glamour girl. We've got our beautiful waves. I took very long sections, as you saw, coming through here, and just very, very lightly spraying this through. So then when I come in to take a photograph of this, and I just bring her back here, and I just take just going to take one quick photograph of her so you can see how it reads in real life. And I go into my portrait, and I go into my contour lighting, and we're hosting actually a photographic workshop in New York, and we're going to be going over some of this important stuff, which is very, very exciting. So when I'm taking my photograph and I'm looking for the perfect composition of my style, and I'm looking for every aspect of it, I'm going to make sure that when I come in through here, you know, I really have a beautiful look, and I can study my photograph, and I can look at the balance and the proportion of my shot, and I can just go, okay, so what else do I need to do? But basically, I've created a very glamorous look. So that's taking her there. So then I can go, okay, well, what would happen then if I undo her a bit and just have her be a little bit more undone through here? So now she's going into bigger hair, a bit more 80s, right? And then I can come through here and just make this be a little bit bigger and just loosen her up. Again, I'll be looking in the mirror. Now, obviously, this then becomes a very different person in terms of how comfortable she is. So now I come back in and I take another photograph, and I can have a comparison from where we started to where we are now. And this is how I train people in terms of training the eye for balance and proportion, and just looking at the journey that we're going through. And I'm just going to show you the contrast, the difference. So what we have is, you know, a very the luminous effect compared to tailored, polished, buttoned up. So if you misread the client, and if you're being a puppet and you're doing this, but truly, you know, from what the client said, this would be even better, then you have done yourself and the client a disservice because you haven't had the courage to take her further. Now, if you're the technician and you've done this to perfection and you're forgetting about the artistry, the expression and the feeling, you could be missing this. And so that's why it is important to be aware of your style, your signature style, and understand how to play with that. Does that make sense? So when we go back to our reference point, I've shown you now how I created that first look. And then a little bit later on, I'm going to take and do something a little different and show you my next look. And I'm just going to get my iron switched on in readiness for my next look, because we're going to next do a bohemian hairstyle. So if this is of value to you and you're enjoying this tonight, go to the link in our chat area, and we're going to put it up in a moment, where you can book a call, book a coaching call with us. And you can actually go to my website and you can book a call with us, and we can find out where you are in your career, what's important to you, and how we can guide you the way that we're helping beautiful Vicky and beautiful Colette. So don't be shy, reach out to us. Even the graduates who are here, you know, if you feel like maybe just you left the gym for a while with your personal coach and it's like things are slipped, come back, because we're always moving on and forwards. So why do you want to listen to me? Because you've got nothing else to do tonight, right? No. Don't say that, Vivian. Slap yourself right now. But I've been around a while, and a lot of experience in the industry, over 40 years in the industry. As you can see, I love beauty, however that shows up, from a little bit of edge to classic to commercial. I love to play around with different shapes. I hate to be putting things in a tight box. I want to be able to meet the client where she is, whether it's on a photo shoot, on a fashion show, whether it's hair cutting, whether it's styling. I love it all. And my commitment is to be the best trainer and educator I can possibly be, so I can serve and help hairdressers go from where they are right now up to the next level. So I noticed we've got some educators in the house. Kalisha is here, who's got a background in education, so I'm sure you appreciate that. So when we're looking at all the different looks that I do, from, as I mentioned, classic through to more avant-garde, they must always have beauty. And it's looking at, how do I give originality with a shape? How can I do something that has that little something special? And, you know, people say, well, you know, if you cut hair short, doesn't it make the client look old? No, there's old-fashioned haircuts and there are modern, edgy haircuts. One of the things I like to do is teach the mechanics of hair cutting so that one understands the architecture, because I don't want people to have an experience like I had, that I mentioned in the beginning of this presentation tonight, where you feel like I'm lost, I don't know what to do. So the students of mine, the fabulous Ruth Roach and Stephen Moody, I had the honor of training them in the beginning of their career, and it's just been, you know, a wonderful journey to work with iconic hairdressers and just help people at all levels within the business. Now, this is what makes my training very, very unique. Very unique. Nobody else is currently doing this. I have you watch a video first. On my website, I have over 2,000 videos. So there's a lot of videos to watch. You watch the video first, then you come to our live online class where you create what you just saw. So if you think about all the scrolling you do through social media and all the wonderful things you see, if you don't apply it, it's gone. And watching and doing are totally, totally different. So what I know is the success formula for learning, and I said information is very different from transformation. And a lot of people live in the information age, but they're not experiencing the transformation that they'd really love to have. So what we do is watch the video, join the live event, and then you get feedback on your work, which is to me very, very, very critical. So when I'm working with stylists, it's all about how do we do the design map. And to me, that consultation is my design map. I am voguing around the face, which I will explain, and I am looking at what is that ideal look? Colette spoke about 85% of her guests coming back. That's huge, because she's putting the right look on the right person versus I'll do what's comfortable for me and what I've got time for. So that's the difference with this. So this is what's amazing. It's a statistic which is quite shocking. 97% of hairdressers say they give a consultation. What are we doing today? Just a little bit off there, the same as usual, and sometimes that's totally fine. Sometimes that's totally fine. But ultimately, the consumer, if they're saying only 7% of consumers receive a consultation, that's a really big gap. Now, if you're coming in as a consumer and you're worried that you're going to go out with something that you don't either know or understand, you're going to come in armed and defensive. Photographs, what are you going to do? A control freak. And now they are the puppeteer pulling your strings, and they've turned you into a puppet because they've either had bad experiences in the past. And I said, what have we trained our clients to be? Have we trained them not to trust us? Have we trained them not to expect a consultation? So clearly from this statistic, we as an industry have done a really good job in training our clients not to expect a consultation, not to expect a design couture for them. Just take a photo reference and come as close as you can to it, which sometimes is good, but most of the time it's not how you're going to build the expensive part of the business. And all of you are here, are passionate about the craft, and I thank you for being with us tonight. But what's important is how we grow. That is so important. So I spoke before about the entertainer, the technician, the artist, and the puppet. Ultimately, we want to be an even division between entertainer, technician, and artist, and we want the puppet to go. Unless you're going to say to the client, Madame, here are the tools, you do it, right? You do it for me, I'll just supervise you, right? Otherwise, no. So yes, you can entertain. Yes, be strong in your technical exercise, and yes, allow your artistry, your creativity to have a place to go. Creativity is a muscle. The more you use it, the more it connects and it thrives. What you want to do is design from the inside of the head to the outside, because authenticity is such a beautiful thing, especially today. So if you're saying, well, Viv, you know, I sometimes get suckered into the technique and I forget to use my mirror, then, you know, on a brush, right, mirror on your water spray bottle, right, mirror, have visual cues to remind you, or put your tools further away from you, so you have to physically go over, get your tool, and then when you come back, you're looking at your shape with a fresh eye. Do whatever you can to change a habit that you may be unaware of and start giving it a space for a new habit, because that's how habits are broken and new habits are helps. You see, when I'm watching people on the screen working, I can see those who are towering above their head, those that are just working and using their mirror. So I can give comments. It's like, no, stand up more. Today I was watching somebody, they were round shouldered and they were doing this. It's like, you're going to have such a back problem. You know, get into that Tai Chi position, drop into your knees and be eye level. Tilt their head, so you're always looking at your work this way and you're not above doing that. And that's where most hairdressers live, which is actually not healthy for your body. So today, so many of our clients know their faces better than us, don't they? they take these photos, and that's how it goes. So this lovely lady, she wanted me to be her puppet. She came in saying, I want my hair cut to the shoulders, and she gave me her shopping list, and I said, no. And I did this. I said no nicely. But clearly, she did not need that hair. It wasn't working for her. But the most important thing that I did for this lovely lady is I vogued around her face. And I showed her what would happen if I elevated. I showed her what would happen. So voguing, I never touch a head of hair without voguing. My number one thing is I don't touch my tools until I've absolutely figured out what I'm going to do. And more importantly, why. I must know my why. I vogue around the face, so I will either use my hands to elevate, I will tuck, I will move the hair around, I will make it, I just move, I lift, I drop down, I will show the client by the shape of my hands. I give a wiggle. And good joke. I show her how she's going to look. I want her to see what I see. And it's my time to train my eye to look for the perfect balance, because I always want to create the oval. So how have we trained our clients? Have we trained them? Oh, it's okay if you come in late. My time doesn't count. Yeah. You've been sitting here processing for the last hour, and now we're going to rinse you. You're not going to go to the bathroom? No, we don't do that. You train them, right? What you permit, you promote. You've trained them to not expect a consultation. You've trained them, whatever it may be. I want you to actually, right now, start thinking about the things you've done where, yeah, you're right, Viv, unconsciously, I've trained my clients to expect certain things, but I want to up my game. So now I've got to train my clients now to have a higher expectation, because I'm climbing up, I'm taking them with me, I'm going to invest in myself, so I've got more to give, right? So that to me is a very important part of our business. Ask yourself, how have you trained your clients? How are you educating them? Talking to them about fashion, talking to them about what's coming down the pipeline, talking to them about anything new in technology and color, perming, etc., etc. We should be on the cutting edge of what's knowing. We want our clients to go, just tell me what's the best thing for me. I totally trust your aesthetic. You understand me. You care about me. You do your magic, and I'll be quiet. Perfect. Right? That's so important. So what we have here is our consultation. And in our consultation, we have our 3 wheels of fashion. And I'm going to bring in Colette in a moment, and Vicky, just to talk about their experience in the consultation. So when I'm doing the consultation, there I have my 3 wheels of fashion. My 3 wheels of fashion are my map. They guide me as to how quiet or loud should my cut, color, texture be. Where does that client live in fashion? Is she classic? Is she boho? Where does she live? And the other thing that so many hairdressers don't think about is the sensuality of the look. Is she boyish? Is she sexy? Is she glam? Is she feminine? I always balance to the face shape. My goal is oval. The last thing I think about is my technique. So when I'm looking here at my 3 wheels of fashion, this is where the clients connect. And this is what makes this so very, very powerful. Colette, you have done a lot with this over the last year plus. Talk to us about your experience.
Well, like you said, only 7% of people actually say that they get a consultation. And that is truly what I'm finding every time I have a new guest and they're sitting in my chair and I want to get to know them. I said, well, let's do a proper consultation. I get a stool, I sit down, I'm at eye level with them, and we are, face to face doing our consultation. Some people do it digitally and have it done before they come in. I personally love the sit down, let's get to know each other approach. And that has worked really, really well for me. But at the end of it, after I'm finished and I say back to them after I've done the face shape, we vogued around the face, we get the okay, yes, that sounds amazing. The first thing they will say to me is, no one has ever done that for me before. And so that proves that, yes, only 7% of people really have had consultation because they're shocked and amazed and they can relax and they feel like I care. And that is the biggest piece I have gotten, is that people tell me, I've never had anybody really care or even listened. You seem like you really care. And that was the missing element I found that has really brought business, success to my business.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Vicky, for you, how has that been?
Yes, absolutely. I am like the only one in this city who is currently doing these, and it has caught on so fast. People are coming in, referring their friends. Like, my business has doubled in the last 3 months just because of these consultations.
Wow.
And so many times I felt like when a new client would leave, like, I hope she liked it. And now when a client leaves, I always feel like, nailed it.
Good girl, good girl. And you do beautiful work. Both of you do beautiful work. So I'm very proud of you, and I'm not surprised. And what a blessing that you are giving to women. What a blessing. You know, there's a difference between confidence and self-esteem. And many women come in maybe confident in their business world. They may be confident in one aspect, but their self-esteem, how they show up as a woman, how they show up in their relationships with their husband, with their children, and all of those other dynamics. You know, possibly they gained some weight that's kind of lowered their self-esteem. Maybe other things have got in the way of their life where they just don't feel the way that they should. And when we can be sensitive and tap into helping a woman elevate her self-esteem, and have self-esteem meet confidence and be authentically oneself, there's no act anymore. There's not trying to be something that you're not. And there's so much pressure from AI images where it's not even the real model. It's all artificial, right? The model is so retouched, and yes, they're lovely images to look at, but when you see images go to that next level, it just makes it look as though the beauty that we see in beautiful ad campaigns, etc., is not attainable. And they're right, because it's not real. And if you've ever sat by the side of someone retouching and seen waistlines go in, body torsos get taller, and you go, I thought she was tall and skinny enough. No, she needs to get taller and skinny. It's like, are you kidding me? And I watched it, and it's like, well, no wonder I feel short and different. And even if it's subconscious, it does impact. And we see it with our youngsters. So I do feel that we do have a responsibility to help women on their path to having higher self-esteem and higher confidence in themselves. How many would you agree with that? Just let me know in the chat if I'm speaking to you and you can relate to it. So when you look at these three wheels, this is how we tap into it. Now, we have Misty in the house, who is absolutely a rock star in my mind. She created these lovely images in the designer program. She's put her heart and soul into showing up, photographing her work, posting her work. And what's beautiful is that she's the author of these looks. She took the time to show the straight version and the textured version. She can then show a guest, which actually happened last week, where the client wanted this hairstyle. And now the client can see the hairstyle in two different variations. And when you think about this, so many times when we see a photograph, it's just one angle, right? It's just that. And you think, yeah, well, that's nice, but how's the side? How's the back? And you just kind of guess, right? But we are doing this. We're not doing this, right? And so when you can start to photojournal your work and you can show your client the front, the side, the back, nailed it. We do in one of our programs 7 bobs, we do 7 graduations, and we do 10 layered haircuts. So if you photograph them well, the way that Misty did, at the end of the program, you have a beautiful portfolio on mannequin heads, which is fine. You can show front, side, and back. You can show your longest bob to your shortest bob. You can show your clients the journey, because when we do our workshop, it's actually training for a photo shoot. At the end of that look, which I'm guiding you through, you now can actually take an photograph of it, and you can absolutely nail it, which makes it so super, super exciting. So Misty, you are a rock star, and we just love that you've done this, because we know at the end of the day, it's just so well photographed. And Misty's going to be at our photographic workshop, which we're thrilled about, where she's going to be joining us in New York. So well done, Misty. So what do you see? This is exactly the same technique adapted to a different texture, different density, and yet such a different thing when you look through the eyes of sensuality, when you look through the eyes of the wheel of fashion, and when you look through the eyes of how quiet or loud. And yet it's the same cutting technique. I teach more than a hairstyle. I teach patterns to produce success. And that's what's important. So whatever I do on a photo shoot, when I do things in workshops, my goal is to help you be able to take it and just fly. Experienced stylists who now after 30 years are making a six-figure income. So what I can do is I can save you decades in learning and growing. So you don't have to wait 3 decades to get your result. And so consequently, it becomes extraordinary. So for you, Colette, you know, the journey that you've been on, it's what you've achieved in this short period of time. Talk to me about the time before and the time now.
Oh, my income has, you know, way more than doubled. I'm definitely working myself into a six-figure income steadily, consistently, with having a lot more fun, you know, growing clientele. I'm just happier. The kind of people that come in due to, like what Vicky was saying, you know, it's the word of mouth. Once it's on the street that you do this amazing consultation. I had a client the other day say, "Are you the stylist that reads the hair and the face?" Yep, that would be me. So come on in. How can I help you? So, you know, I've got this great reputation now, and the income just comes.
You know what you should say to them? I read tea leaves too.
And tarot and rocks.
Yeah, really.
You know,
I can see into your future.
crystal balls are extra. Yeah.
That dork that's with you will go. I'm going to turn you into a diva, and the Chippendales are going to be knocking down your door. We're going to carry on this conversation. I want to tap into Vicky's thoughts. I just wanted to tell you, we're going to go now from, we had the glam, and we're going to go into the bohemian, and I'm going to show you a few interesting tricks. So let's just go into that. And I'm going to disassemble this hairstyle. So I'm going to now take her into a center parting, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to deconstruct. So Vicky, tell me a little bit more about your clients, the things they're saying now to you that are new in your world.
Just they're all just so bouncing out. It's amazing to watch someone's confidence change like right before your eyes just because of something you did. Whether it's just the power of a parting, it's like a wow factor that I think I was missing before. And when I first came to Viv, like when I first joined this course, I was pretty burnt out. I was tired. I didn't want to do it anymore. My body hurt. And I just have this new passion and this new energy. And of course, it resonates. Like I'm attracting the kind of clientele I've always dreamed of.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
it's been the change in the last 6 months has just been so profound. And now I'm trying to teach other stylists because I just want to pass the inspiration and pass the torch.
Yes, absolutely. So clearly we can see just by changing a parting, this is a really huge difference. And just within a moment, just to go back again to where we were just a moment ago, we were at this place. So I'm now taking that gorgeous volume that we just created, and I'm going to now come in with my iron. And this is a really kind of cool effect where you just come in and you start to break up your pattern so that it's less matchy, dunny. And you can do it randomly, because when you put an iron into the hair, you don't want it. Come on, darling. Well, it's very hard to stand up when you don't have a body, Viv. Still in China, the body. When you're doing something like this, you don't want it to look like, oh gosh, my hair just was in a curling iron. You just want it to just look like fantastic hair. You know how it is when somebody's makeup is so strong that you go, oh, your makeup looks great, versus, oh, you look really beautiful. So again, you want it to be a little bit more broken into. So just from doing that in the back, you can see I'm starting to undo some of this movement. And I always say, when you're setting hair, much more important to go in strong, and then you can always loosen it up. And so when we're looking here around the face, and we're looking at the collapse around the face, and we're looking at bringing this down, so there's no lift in here. Sometimes it's quite nice to just come in and give a little bit of movement just right in here. Just divide that. And as Vicky said, just a change of parting can be such a game changer in terms of where and how. And when you let the face be an inspiration to you, all I need now is just a 4-inch nail to plant in there and should be good to go, right? So just a little bit of movement there, that does a lot. And generally a drag around the face, you have to be very careful, because you've got to have a face that can afford to be dragged. I don't have a face that can be dragged. I need elevation. I look my best laying down. So you've got to be very, very careful when you're doing this, that it's on the right person. Again, don't be that fashion victim. So what would you say, now that I've kind of revealed Colette and Vicky, the different types of hairdresser, where would you say you think you actually live now?
Well, I'm probably definitely more into artistic and technical. I make people stand up at the very end of their haircut to make sure that everything is in absolute, complete, perfect balance. And that's something that they've never had done before either. You know, drop your head forward. Let me make sure I've got every little hair in place. Let me look at you straight on, you know, at eye level. Is it completely balanced? Because when people stand up, it's a different story.
Yes.
So yeah, I would say I'm very, very technical, but then also an inspirational artist. And every once in a while, yes, I entertain.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
Is that an insight for you to be now starting to be more aware? Because obviously, you know, if you're the entertainer, your choices that you make come from a different motivation. And that's why I kind of emphasize that. So there we have her more closed down, right? I got too much product. I'm going to put that in my own hair again. Just imagine if I did this during the day, I'd end up very shiny, wouldn't I? So I'm just going to go back to my photograph again so I can show you in real time what I'm striving to do here, and how I've just closed down the face. And so when I look at this from a face shape perspective, and I look at, you know, who is my lovely lady here, I really have closed her down. I take my time when I take my images. So I have closed her down. By comparison, from a moment ago, we had glam and we had volume. So now what I'm going to do is, from there, you've seen me collapse the whole hairstyle. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to put in a little tiny bit of hairspray here. And I'm going to do the pinch. And this is very important. If you're going to have a hairstyle collapse around the face, just this little pinch in the center can really change things. So I'm just going to come in here and elevate this. And just that small lift and coming around through here makes a huge, huge difference. So just make sure she's not too hairspray.
Viv, you make this look so easy. Can I just say that? I'm like, that's so not real life.
It's amazing too when you show your clients sitting in your chair the difference in their parting, the difference in elevation, and the difference in closure. Like it makes them trust you and it makes them know that you care, which is super important.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So here, just to show you the difference between that pinch, totally changed the length of the face. It helps the chin. It opens the face up. So now when we go through here to the close, that is a huge, huge difference from the closing, the journey that she's been on through here. So now we've got this nice evolution. So this is a great post for social. So now the final thing that we're going to do is we're just going to now, from her being small, we're going to come in with some texture spray. And this is a texture spray from us. And we're just going to make her be undone. But again, this is where it goes back to, so now she becomes a very undone kind of girl. And you're looking here at, okay, how do I now make her undone and just very, very sexy and give her that volume? Now, if I'm a client that likes polished and done up, I'm going to be freaking out at this point, right? It's like, what the heck did you just do to me? But if I love my hair being undone, I'm just going to come here. Now, notice that I am eye level and not this. This is the technician. This is the artist. I'm stepping back and I'm looking at my shape. And sometimes what I'll do here is I'll go in with the diffuser and I'll even diffuse this a little bit with a little bit of moisture. So again, I get that lovely undone effect. So I'm not going to fiddle anymore, just so to show you how this looks. And then we have our journaling and it becomes just a beautiful story. And here we go. So I go back into portrait and now just find my look. And now when I come through here, you can see a totally different vibe. On our lovely journey. So polished and precise, more of the technician, more of the artist coming in, a little bit more expression and feeling. Close down, on trend, but close the face, elevation of the face. Whoops, that's where I live. And there we have it. So you can see quite a difference in our journey. And the photo journaling helps you. So this is a story for social. The power of a parting, a beautiful set. What I'm showing my guests is that I'm creative. I'm not boring. I'm not just doing the same thing on everybody. The puppet's just doing that on everybody and it's boring, right? Because it's just when we're all individuals. So that's where it becomes so powerful. So again, when we look at what I have created from the wave to the different ways of working here, we got a lovely vibe. And I went in, I photographed them, made them look good so that it's a post that really does make sense. So again, guys, if you would like me to help you, book your coaching call. And on the coaching call, we will look at your goals. We will then set you on a path to be successful. As I mentioned, the consultation is such an important part of what we do. And in the consultation, what we dive into is face shape. We look at face shape and we look at how do we make a hairstyle balance. And these are the mistakes that hairdressers make. They don't look at face shape. The next mistake they make is they're not designing to the personality of the client. And clearly tonight I'm showing you understanding where the client lives is so important, even though it's on a mannequin. Designing to the sensuality of your client, how tough and strong or how soft and sensual. Voguing around the face is important. So as we vogue around the face, we want to make sure that we're always being very, very, very mindful to the balance and the proportion as we vogue around the face so that we make sure it's the right look on the right guest. Lack of communication, that's another issue. It took a lot to take the lady from that hairstyle into what you're going to see now as the final look. And just for a moment, let's just go back and show you one more time. It was quick there. You know, she's got this hairstyle that's really not doing very much for her, and talking her into a fringe and cutting off, 18 inches of hair around her face was a big deal. And she became alive and she felt so much more glamorous and more sensual. So tonight you have two options. You can go take this information and go on your own, or we can work together to achieve your goals. So obviously I would like to help you to share how I can work with you. That's really important. And what I do know is that to have clarity and to have someone who can mentor you, not just watch a video, but actually be there for you is so, so important. So what's important about what we do is we make it as simple as possible. When I'm working with someone, I'm looking for a 1% change as we go through on our journey together. When we're going over haircuts, I like to show you the map. I like everything to be animated so that you understand the architecture of hair. We work with the razor, we work with our scissors, we will work with thinning scissors. We will work on a tool that is appropriate for the end result. One haircut, one result. That's the ultimate goal of everything that we do. So when we're looking at your success path, we have to know where you are, but where do you want to go? And don't wait decades to have a transformation. And as I mentioned before, our education is very unique. You watch the videos, you join a live event, and then you get feedback on your work. So when we're live, I can get to see you on the screen, which is so much fun, from the comfort of your kitchen, salon, lounge. I think I've seen most people's homes by now. I've met their dogs, their plants, cats, and it's just a whole lot of fun. You get feedback on your work. This is beautiful Sarah's work. And we have a vast video library. So there's so much information for you to look at. I think the big thing is that I show you how to climb the ladder to success. And this is what I would say. Mastery is not a scroll on social media. The average person will spend 2 hours a day on social media. This adds up to 30 days within the year, which is extraordinary. And if those 30 days could be put into your training with a coach, you would have a very, very different experience from that of just social media. So I love social media. I think it's genius. But that's not where I'm going to go and learn how to use certain methods. I can learn tricks. But what's the point of a trick when it doesn't suit the client's face shape, body type? And there's a strategy for learning. I don't give out my consultations. You have to be trained to do the consultation. If I gave you it right now, you go, what do I do with this? You've got to be trained to see, just as I showed you photographically, small transformations from a parting, from glam to boho meets glam to sexy and undone. That was an emotional journey with just a few setting tricks. So that's what makes that incredibly exciting. So be mindful of where you invest your time versus wasting time. We have people who go through our program who are now going through the designer program for the second time. And it's unbelievable seeing them go through it the second year. And it's like, whoa, it's like all of a sudden something goes up to the next level. And I'm saying to them, I would put that in my portfolio. That work is so good. Where in the beginning it would be like, oh dear, it's a bit dodgy. let's help them, right? A bit dodgy, let's help them. So, you know, we're here to help, not here to judge, we're here to serve. So as I mentioned, I would love for you to book your call so we can help you. Some of you may want to take your photographic work to that next level. You want to do NAHA, you want to enter an award. There's a strategy. To work with one of the top photographers in New York with my team and actually be guided and coached is an extraordinary experience. I spent 40 years falling on my face, standing up, falling on my face, standing up. Amazing experiences in studios and some of the scariest experiences in studios, and to be able to protect people and save them from some of that heartache is major. So some of you may want to do photo shoots, some of you may want to come here to my studio and do a one-to-one with me or be part of a very small intimate group, and some of you want to just enjoy the process online. So there's a lot of different programs that we have, and we want to make sure it's tailored exactly to you. And if you're a salon owner with a team, what we all know right now, sadly, is that some of the talent that's coming out of schools is they're missing some very important skill sets. And is it your job to now be having to teach them? Isn't your job to run your business and run your salon and have somebody else like me come in and take your babies and train them and take that burden and that responsibility off your shoulders? So for salon owners here, if you would like a done for you where mama babysits the kids and make sure that the kids are doing the right thing, I can take that huge responsibility off your shoulders, and I guarantee it's like the Harvard of hairdressing, because the work that we do and the talent that I have here with Colette and Vicky, they are not your average hairdresser. So that makes it incredibly special. So book your call. The link is in the chat, as you can see. And I'm just going to bring back my fabulous guests. So what was your big learn tonight from being with us, Vicky?
Just like the power of a parting and the shape in the camera, and photo journaling really helps you see things like a camera. It trains your eye. It just giving your clients the wow factor that they deserve. I really kind of struggled with whether to take this course or not, and it is literally the best thing I ever did for my career. So to all of you listening, you deserve it. Do this for yourself. Invest in yourself. You deserve it. It will all come back to you, I promise.
Yay. Well, thank you. Thank you. It's always lovely to see your work.
Thank you so much, Viv.
Oh, you're welcome. And good luck in your wonderful Weller world to paint the world, paint the ceilings, paint the floors. Yes. So if Vicky's your girl. She can teach you some fabulous things in color, right? Colette, what was your big takeaway from tonight?
Oh, gosh. Every time I sit in a class with you, it's like so many golden nuggets of amazingness, a ton. I am inspired to do a photo journal on a few of my mannequins that I have in the back that still have hair, to go well, they experienced a designer program. Yeah. But to really do exactly what you just did, to inspire people that I think a lot of people don't even realize that that's something I can do for them. That was my big aha. I'm like, how many times have I ever taken a client, and just curled her hair and said, hey, let's do, take a few more minutes and let me show you the options you have with just what we did right now. And they wouldn't even know that. So I'm excited. Yeah. I'm excited, very inspired. Thank you.
Good. So guys, thank you so much. If you have any questions, Marcia, thank you for joining us tonight. Star, Jean, and let me see. Kalish, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Jennifer, Joni, forgive me if I mispronounced. Just let us know in the chat if there's any questions that you have that you want to ask. Otherwise, you can go to book a call and we'd love to chat to you. Don't be shy. Don't put things off. Don't put off your ambition. Don't say to yourself, oh, well, I don't know whether I have time, or I don't know whether I have the resources. Don't find reasons why not to step into your fullest potential. And for everyone, they have their own unique map and path. And it's not copying us. It's you flourishing in where you should be. Some of you may have a hair story that you've told yourself that, oh, well, I live in a small town and I da-da-da-da-da, my clients won't like that. In a way, I'll blame my clients for my not being where I want to be. It's very easy for us to blame the clients, which is why I said, what if we train the clients to think? Because we're the conductor of the orchestra, right? We are the conductor. The tools are in our hands. So when you're looking at your hair story, have you told yourself a story? Well, I just, probably, I'm not good enough, or I didn't learn that in school, or excuses. There are reasons why not to step forward and say, I want a new hair story. I want a story where I can say, like Colette, that I've grown my business. I want a story like Vicky, where I can say that I'm more joy in what I'm doing, and I feel more excited about going out there and teaching people and doing some great things with Wella, etc., etc. They've stepped up with some fear and trepidation, but they made a decision that changed their life. So tonight you have a choice to make a decision that could transform where you are right now to where you want to go. And our life is the summation of all the choices that we make, right? So every day when we are with a guest, we make a choice to cut an inch off or 4 inches off, do a tone, or do a regrowth, do whatever the color, whatever is. We're making choices. And what if most of those choices are not well thought out? What if the choices are just coming from a place of being safe? What if the choices are coming from being the entertainer? What if the choices are blinded by being a puppet? You just want to please, which I respect, but you may not be doing the best service to somebody, right? So what is that all about? So when you're clear about where you function from and where your power is, and you're aware of the choices that you make. And the big thing I could say to you is that when you're aware of the choice that you made that took you to this next level, you want to repeat that style of thinking. But when you've made a choice that's taking you backwards, you need to evaluate, what was the process that took me there? Because I don't want that anymore. It's hard to do that by yourself. That's where coaching will always get you there quicker and faster, because I guarantee anything that you're going through, I've been through in some shape or form throughout my career. I'm talking about hairdressing clearly right now, but I've been in so many different avenues of this industry, traveled the world, done so many different things that I've seen a lot. And I can usually tell when people come into my world, whether they have the tenacity and the commitment to show up, or whether they'll allow life and excuses to give them a reason why not to show up. And I've had people show up with COVID, and it's like, I'm going to be there. They're in their kitchen and they're at home and they're still shown up. And then I've had people like, oh, well, stars went in alignment today, sorry. And it's like, you're actually shooting yourself in your own foot by not showing up, right? So committed versus interested. You've always got to say, well, am I committed to want to be the best version of myself? Not only for me, but to serve my clients better? Or am I just sort of interested? Or, oh, I'll just go back out to YouTube and just browse through there. And there's some great people on YouTube, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about something way beyond that. Because if YouTube was doing it, our industry standards would be so high. And when I'm going to challenge you all, you go out there, the best place is at an airport, look at the supermarket, wherever, and just look at the hair walking around and think, where is the beautiful hair? Where is it? Because hairdressers, for the most part, did it. Or maybe they did it at home in their bathroom. So when you look at where the industry is right now, there's some very pretty hair happening, no doubt. But there's also some really boring stuff. We've got into that boring place and we're stuck. and we don't know how to make short hair look fun and exciting and modern and fresh. So we're just doing the same boring long haircut, and we don't even have the narrative to talk a client through into something that would be so much more attractive on her than just wearing the same old, same old. So that's my challenge to you tonight. And if there aren't any questions, have I mesmerized you, or are you asleep? Vicky, I want to thank you for being with me tonight. I'm going to wish you continued success in your salon and with your journey with Wella. So congratulations. And
Viv, I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much.
yeah, thank you. Colette, so wonderful to see you again. Congratulations. You just keep going for the stars, and I'm just so proud of what you've done and what you've achieved, and you are an inspiration to us and to your community, and you're blessing so many women's lives, and that is fantastic. So congratulations and thank you.
Oh, thank you, Viv.
Guys, thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you online. I hope you've enjoyed tonight. This is recorded, so if you want to see the replay, check out your email and please share it with your friends so that we can spread the love. Thank you so much, and have a beautiful evening, and good night.